ElI5 How can restaurants leave ketchup and mustard out all day but the bottles you buy in the store say to refrigerate after opening? Ketchup and mustard left at room temp will last for weeks before there is any spoilage. Restaurants can go through a bottle of it a day. There is very little risk of it spoiling. Former food safety inspector here. With food, spoilage is a matter of pH, temperature, and moisture content. Highly acidic foods don't make a good environment for germs to live, and hence spoil slower. The same goes with high sugar content. Honey is almost immortal. I worked with cookies, and the key to keeping them shelf-stable was moisture content. Keep that low enough, and those puppies are good for a long time. It gets used and replenished often enough to where it doesn't go bad. Also, ketchup and mustard both contain vinegar, which discourages bacterial growth. In a restaurant, those little bottles on the table may just get used up within a day. If you have a big bottle at home and you don't go through it very fast, it might go off when kept at room temperature. I've known it to go a bit fermenty, because it doesn't need to be kept in the fridge. I've never stored ketchup in the fridge in my life and never had any spoil. Mustard I do, but that's actually nicer cold, unlike ketchup. Ask a British person if they refrigerate their ketchup. Funny stand-up about it. At about 2:30. https m.youtube.com/watch v=BEVSVILXHJME. Added a time marker. The same way your Himalayan rock salt that formed millions of years ago has a best-by date. You don't have to refrigerate mustard. It's pretty stable and can last for years due to vinegar, mustard oil and sodium benzoate. Most ketchup is considered shelf-stable, unlike salsa, which is not. It's a pH thing. This was a real question on my commercial certification exam. The pH level of ketchup keeps it safer to eat after opening. Like everyone else said, we go through them crazy fast, so there's no chance of spoilage. Also, most places load all bottles in a bin and fridge 'em overnight. Put 'em all out at open. Travel tip. In hot tropical developing countries, beware the bottles or containers may have been sitting around all day in a humid environment. Flies and other insects have likely been crawling around on or in them. Learned this the hard way. Stomach sickness for 3 days. I've seen customers use literally an entire bottle of ketchup with their meal. People are animals. It doesn't last as long as you think. Finally, a forum where I can ask, why does ketchup separate, but barbecue sauce does not? It's the only thought left to bring harmony to my universe. I never put ketchup in the fridge, it lasts months. Putting it in the fridge makes it taste weird. Even if you allow it warm up, it changes the taste. Ketchup and mustard have significant amounts of salt, and often sugar as well. These are natural preservatives. Also, the majority also have additional preservatives. Your ketchup will keep just fine outside the fridge. Refrigeration is generally for long-term preservation. You don't need to preserve things that will be used up. It's why a lot of people leave butter out on a dish. because soft butter is generally more usable. And they're going to use it. So they don't need to preserve it. It is actually against health codes to serve food or a condiment in a dining room and take it back to a food prep area once it's been served. So partially used condiments can't be taken back to the kitchen and stored in a refrigerator. They are left on the table or stored on a shelf still in the dining area. Ketchup, mustard, and it's hard believe but even mayo is shelf stable. Putting them in fridge keeps them fresh longer and maintains their quality. To deflect any chance of a lawsuit for someone getting sick, we told them to refrigerate it. They must have left it out. Lifelong server here. The ketchup and mustard being left out are the least of your worries when dining at any restaurant. A hole in the wall or fine dining. My boyfriend once thought that the local Ruby's Diner had some new bourbon-infused ketchup. So we checked the label and it was just regular Heinz. However, that bottle just sits in direct sunlight all day every day. So that bitch was spoiled. Makes me think twice about communal condiments generally. Only packets for me now. Also, what's stopping some gross person from spitting in it or doing God knows what to it? Those containers are usually cleaned and refilled, or completely replaced daily. At home you refrigerate after opening to make it last as long as possible. But both are good at room temperature for weeks. I mean, you don't have to refrigerate it. It's just to keep it at the best possible quality. Mustard ketchup are shelf stable. You can leave them out. The high acidity plus high sodium pretty much make it impossible to spoil. Depends on the place too. I've worked at restaurants that only bring ketchup out if fries are going out or it is requested. There's also places that change them after every table, both of which became more popular after COVID. Aside from that they get used so quickly there is no time for them to go bad. The restaurant I work at we prep condiments ahead of time. We'll pour out mayo, ketchup and mustard into ramekins. Put 'em on trays then seal with plastic wrap and timestamp them. Now we don't order bottles but instead bigger tubs of condiments, so at least we're not going through as many plastic squeeze bottles. Oh and yes, the ramekins all now live in 2 fridges. One in the kitchen and one near our bar, both of which our staff can quickly and easily access. At my restaurant we keep the ketchups in a mini fridge in the server station, and bring them out to tables when they order burgers, fries, hash browns, etc. At the end of the shift, the bottles are married. The emptier bottles get their remaining contents poured into another, more full bottle, and we refill the empties with a big bag of ketchup with a spigot. Mustard is kept on the shelf, but we only have a couple open bottles at a time and only bring it if requested. The bottles didn't used to say to refrigerate. My parents never put ketchup in the fridge. I only do now because one bottle will last us like 6 months. Usually restaurants have labels with time of mise en place, and expiration date after opened from the pack. Restaurants serve 100 of people per day, which means they use at least 1 bottle a day and everything is cleaned at the end of night. Also, ketchup and mustard can go more than 1 week at room temp, so it's typically a non-issue. Fun fact: McDonald's, for example, require that sauces like mustard, ketchup, ranch etc. that are placed in FIFO bottles or dispensers to be changed after 24H. I used to be a waitress. We pretty much always ran out of ketchup, mayo, mustard, barbecue sauce etc. before the end of the day. Sauces take weeks to spoil, so there was never a H&S issue there. Most of the time we were told to bin the sauces at the end of the day even if they still had a little left in them. This is a bone of contention in my family. I believe ketchup, mustard must be kept in the fridge because of potential spoilage. My stepdad refuses and says he doesn't want cold ketchup on hot food. Woman shrugging. That's the dark secret of restaurant condiments. Now you know and will never be the same again. I'd be more concerned with those bottles next to a window on a hot sunny day than on the regular. Ketchup and mustard is fine. What you need to watch out for is bottles of condiments. I've worked in restaurants where the managers force you to refill those bottles every night. They never get completely empty and the same sauce has possibly been at the bottom of those bottles. Potentially for years. Years ago I was walking by the local burger joint in my neighborhood. With outdoor seating. Each table had its own ketchup and mustard squeeze bottles. A homeless man next to us grabbed the closest ketchup bottle and sucked on it like a calf on a cow's udder. I never use bottles left outside like that ever again. Ever notice that the bottles of ketchup in a restaurant are not transparent like the ones you purchase in the supermarket? That is because of the ketchup discoloration and bubbles forming as it ages. Won't see that in a solid colored bottle. Lots of items that don't need refrigeration will say to keep in fridge to make sure you see their product more often, use it more often, instead of being forgotten in the back of a cupboard. Wait, you guys are refrigerating your tomato sauce. Why? Worked at a restaurant for a long time. I could tell that the bottle may be going bad by starting to see bubbles in it through the glass. They're actually not allowed to do that anymore. It's been a health code violation for years now. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe for more content.